everyone, this is Gina. Today I'm going to do kind of a multiple project tutorial. Now I am using beads that are found in the newest treasure bags, Denim Days and Denim Nights. However, I have also added to this because there's only one of this type of bead in each bag. But I do have more on the website. So I went ahead and made sets in case you want to get some more. I also made an entire set with some of the gemstones that I have on my website. These are Abacus, and they are 10 by 6 and they are Sodalite gemstones. Really nice strand. You can see how pretty these beads are. I kept it very simple for all of these designs. I've made bracelets for the beads that are in the bags, and I made a full set there and some earrings. And then here's the Denim Nights, so that's that. And then there's this stunner that I made with the gemstones. So let me show you these little cute ones here real quick. So you have everything you need to make this necklace or this necklace. And the rest of the set you can make if you would like by purchasing just a few more of these beads. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the material list and we'll get started. Okay, so today I want to do something a little bit differently. I'm going to show you a couple very simple pieces that we can make with our treasure bags. However, in our treasure bags, we only have one of these beads. If you have both bags, then you'll have two and you'll be able to make the bracelet also that I'm making, and you'll have more of the flower beads. However, I do have more of the flower beads and packages of 3 of these beads on my website. So they're the treasure bag extras, and instead of putting them in stash bags this time, I am listing them, so if you want to make something else, you can. I'm also going to experiment with a few other things on the website with these beads too. So it will give you design ideas. You can come get more, or if you have 2 treasure bags, you can make them however you want to do it. It's just that I'm going to be doing more than one design and using more than what you have in one treasure bag, just to let you know. Of course, there will be the original design that you can make in your treasure bag. So this one is the one that you have enough for, and it's just a really simple little strung piece. Turned out really cute, and I'm going to show you how to make that first. So you have a package of 10 of these flower beads in your treasure bag. You're going to be using them. That is the same in both bags. And one of these Indonesian beads, that is the same in both bags. We're going to be using these little column beads. You have a clear AB in your Denim Nights treasure bag, and you have the steel blue color in your Denim Days. So you'll use one or the other depending on your bags. Then in the Denim Nights, you have this midnight blue color Sodalite gemstone. You'll be using that. That's what I did this one with. So I've already done the Denim Nights with this particular strand. Denim Days, you'll be using this strand of Sodalite, which is a frosted Sodalite. And they tend to be just a tiny bit bigger than the, they're supposed to both be 6mm, but I think this is a little bit over 6mm. Or this is a little under, one of the two. But either way, it'll work out fine. And then we're going to be using, if you make the bracelet, you'll be using a clasp like this. If you're making the necklace, you can use that clasp, but we also, excuse me, goodness, we also are going to be using, for this particular design, because it's so small, I'm going to use a lobster claw clasp and 3 or 4 jump rings, depending on how big you want to make your extender. I think I have 5 of them on there, so about 5 jump rings, and those are 6mm in diameter. That's outside diameter. I'll be using those. I'll be using some 8/0 and 11/0 seed beads, and what I have are Toho nickel color. Then I'm going to be using a head pin for my little dangle on the end here, and 2 wire guardians, and some soft flex medium beading wire. So we're just going to do a real simple design with this, and then I'll show you how to make a very simple bracelet. So if you have 2 bags, you can do this. If you want to get more of these beads, you can do it also. We can also make a set of earrings to go with this too. That just depends on whether you want to come get some more of these beads or not. Of course, you can use something else in your bags to make earrings with if you'd like. So let's go ahead and get started on this particular project. Okay, to start this project, you're going to cut about 20 inches of your soft flex beading wire, or whatever beading wire you're using. And this is going to turn out to be about 16 inches long. But with my clasping and my extension, it's an 18-inch necklace. So the reason I did it that way was because in the Denim Nights bag, you have a little bit less of your gemstones. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to just put our Indonesian handmade bead here on in the center, and then we're going to pick up an 8/0 seed bead on both sides of it. I just ran down the stairs. If I sound out of breath, I'm sorry. I'm running around doing crazy things. Then I'm going to pick up one of my little column beads. Now I'm using the steel blue ones this time. I used the clear ones in the last design, so I can show you both bags what it looks like. So now I have a little column bead on both sides, and then I'm going to pick up an 11/0 and a flower bead, and then an 11/0 and a flower bead on the other side. You can do all one side, but I like to start, at least to center it, I like to start on both sides. And then you can just continue to center your piece on your beading wire. Okay, so now I have that. I'm going to put on 11/0 and then 3 of my Sodalite beads. So it's regardless if you have the frosted ones or if you have the midnight blue ones, you're going to put on 3. That one's so white. Maybe I'll put on a different one. There we go. And then an 11/0. And do the same thing on the other side. And then I'm just going to repeat this pattern. So an 11/0. And then 3 of my Sodalites on this side. That one, it's really white too. The white ones are fine. I just kind of want the blue up front here. So I'm going to put on 11/0, and then I can just block off this side, use a bead stopper and do one side, and then come back and do the other, just to get our pattern established. You can keep doing both sides if you'd like. But again, now that I have put on my 3 Sodalites, I'm going to start with this patterning. So I'm going to pick up my column bead, and then an 11/0, and then a flower, and then an 11/0, and then 3 of my Sodalite beads. And I'm just going to continue that pattern. So now I need an 11/0, and I will start again with my column bead, and I'm going to continue doing that on both sides until I have gotten the amount that I need for my 16 inches, and I'll come back and show you exactly how many sets that is. So this would be an entire set here from the column bead to the last Sodalite bead. And I will tell you exactly how many I need. I believe it's going to be, I can count my other one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets. So go ahead and do 5 sets on one side and 5 sets on the other side. And we'll be back. Okay, so now as you can see, I've done my 5 sets of beads on both sides of the necklace. Then I centered my necklace by putting the 2 ends together, drawing everything down, and then I put on a stopper on this side. Now on both sides I put 3 8/0 seed beads at the very end. Then, now that I have this side stopped, I can kind of push it aside and I can grab a crimp tube. I forgot to tell you, you're going to need crimp tubes. This is a size 2 bead-along. You can use a stopper crimp if you'd like, or whatever crimping you like to do. And then I am going to grab a wire guardian. So, did I get those out? No, I thought I did, but you know, little things like that just seem to disappear as I'm working. I don't know what that's all about, but if you could see my mat, you'd probably know why. But on the top, it's got all kinds of stuff. All right. So now I've got a wire guardian. I'm going to go through one side of the wire guardian. Is that open? Come on. All right, let's get another wire guardian because that one doesn't seem to want to do it. Okay, so let me get you in closer. I've got my wire guardian on, my crimp tube beneath it, and then I'm going to go ahead and push this up on the wire a little bit. Now, you can see I have quite a bit of wire left over, but I like to have that because it makes it easier to crimp. If you're new to crimping, I recommend leaving yourself a few inches to work with on both sides. Now, I have gone through the other side of the wire guardian. I'm going to kind of move it up, go through my crimp tube with the wire, and then I'm going to slide through all 3 of these 8/0 seed beads, just like this. I'm going to grab the end that's coming through. I'm going to hold on to the side that's stable. This side moves, so I'm going to hold on to this side that's stable and draw this all down. When I get to where I can't really hold on to the wire anymore, I'm going to hold on to the beads and pull this all down. Now, I don't have to have it really tight, but you don't want it really far away from the beads, simply because I'm going to do the other side and tighten it all up. So what I can do now is, once you have this in here and it's stable, you can cut this down and gently move down your crimp tube just so that whatever wire is sticking out of those 8/0 seed beads draws up into them. And everything's stable that I can work with this. You just can't be, you know, really pulling on it or doing anything. And once you get everything positioned correctly, you are going to imagine where the center of this crimp tube is, and you're going to place it right into the first divot on your, or it's the second divot, the one closest to the handle on your crimping tool, and squeeze right underneath that wire guardian. Now we have a nice crimp where both sides of the wire are going through it and it creates little tubes around it. Then you place those tubes in the first divot, the one closest to the tip of your crimping tool, and you squeeze them again. You're placing them in there sideways so that you can push them together, just like that. Now, I had someone tell me she was having a lot of problems with crimping, and I've heard that from a lot of people. Make sure you have a really good quality crimping tool. This is one I've had for years, and it's a Bead Smith, and it's just your basic crimping tool. Works fabulous. And then make sure you have a good quality crimp tube. Bead-along is my favorite. Bead Smith is good too. They're a little bit thicker than Bead-along, which isn't a bad thing. It's just that I kind of prefer Bead-along. So just keep that in mind. Now I have this end all ready for my clasping. I'm going to do the same thing for this end. So I'm going to pick up the crimp tube, drop it down, push everything together, make sure that there's no slack in my line here, then pick up another wire guardian, and this is the one I just discarded. Well, now it's going to work. Whatever. And I'm going to put it through, then put it through the other side, and kind of scoot it up on my wire a little bit. Then put it through my tube, and then push it through the 3 8/0 seed beads. Okay. So now I need to draw this down, and what I'm going to do is push this crimp tube down. This side is a little bit more difficult. So you want to push everything down, and then again hold on to the wire where it is stable, and then just pull it all down. Now I still have a huge gap, so I'm going to push it down again. Hold on to the beads, pull it again. And then I'm going to do that one more time until I get everything nice and tight and close together. And of course, with your wire hanging out of there, it's going to look like you still have a gap, but just get it as tight as you possibly can. This is what mine looks like, just like that. And then I can take my flush cutter, because everything's stable now. I can take my flush cutter and I can go right underneath those 8/0 seed beads, and then I can just gently push down just the crimp tube, and everything is hidden. There's no wire sticking out, everything's nice. And then I can place my tool on in the second, or the divot closest to the handle, squeeze. I have a nice V-fold there. Now I'm going to place that in sideways in the first divot, and I'm going to squeeze again. And now I have a really nice ending that I can put my clasping on. Turns out very nice. Now the only time that it's difficult to do the method I just showed you is if you're using a very fine beading wire and it doesn't hold stable in your beads. It has too much room to move around, then you might have an issue. But with this medium soft flex, with what I'm using here, it works really well. It holds stable, and then you can do that particular method. Because sometimes when you cut your thread right underneath your crimp tube, you're going to get a little bit sticking out, and then it's going to make your beads funny. I like to have it hidden inside my beads the best I can. So that's what that looks like. And then I'm just going to put some clasping on here. So I am going to put together about 5 6mm round jump rings. And I just have this big case here, so oh, I want these. Okay, so I'm gonna put together about 6 of them. So all you have to do is open one, find where the opening is, place your plier on one side, and then grab another plier, not a round nose, Gina, on the other side, and just crank it open. I'm going to put it onto the wire guardian, and then I'm going to drop another jump ring on it. And then close it. Then I'll open this one and drop another one on. And I'll do that until I have about 5. You can make this as long or as short as you'd like. You can just put one on there if you're a very small person. If you're a bigger person, you can make it longer than I'm making it. But with the extension I'm doing, with the size of clasp I'm using, and with my wire guardians and everything, this will end up to be about an 18-inch necklace. So I'm going to put one more on. close this one. Okay, so that's what I have there. Now I'm going to make a little dangle for the end. So I have a head pin. I'm going to pick up one of my gemstones, my Sodalite, and put it on. And then on this other one, I used a little bead cap. I just have a random thing of bead caps here. So I'm going to pick out something that I think will fit nice. You can use whatever you want. And that's too big, that's too big. Of course, it's gonna, you know, I should have done this in advance. There's a little one. That'll work right there. So I'm going to drop this bead cap on here just for a little bit more decoration. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. And then I'm going to put on a little column bead. Grab my round nose pliers wherever they may be. Place them here, right on top of those beads, holding them tight, and then push the wire over the back of the plier as I hold the plier flat. Turn the plier up and down now, and then bring the wire over the top of the plier. Then turn the plier flat again and draw the wire underneath. Hold on to your piece, hold on to the extra piece of wire, and rock your hand back just a little bit. That centers your loop, just like that. And then we're going to grab another pair of pliers and hold on to that. And then position your plier is straight, position your wire straight, close to it, and at the same angle as your plier. Then I'm going to switch my hands. As I switch my hands, I am turning the plier upside down. So now my wire is behind the wire that goes into the beads, and then I'm just going to start to coil around the wire that goes into the beads until I tighten those beads onto the head pin. Once it feels like they're nice and tight, I can cut the excess off, and then I can tuck that in. Perhaps. Oh, come on, quit turning. That's a glass bead, so you got to be really careful when you do that. And now I have that. I can just come up here and open my jump rings on my extender and drop that on there and then close it. And now I have a nice little bobble. And then on this side, I'm going to grab a 4mm jump ring. Oh no, I'll just use another 6, that's fine. I'm just going to use another one of these, and it'll give it a little bit more length. And I'm just going to open that, drop my clasp on, put on the wire guardian, and then close it. All right, very simple, very cute. This looks adorable on. I tried the other one on. This is what it looks like in the denim nights. This is what it looks like in the denim days. I'm going to show you how to make a bracelet. And as I said, if you have both bags, you have enough to make one full set in one color or the other. If you'd like to get more stuff, then just come to the website and you can make a full set. So that... Or maybe you just want to make a bracelet or 2 bracelets or whatever. So this is in the either bag. I'm going to, or it's denim nights because the column beads are the clear ones here. So this will go with this one. And we're going to go ahead and make one for the other bag. So let me move this stuff out of the way. And I'm going to cut about 12 inches of my beadalon, and again, that's a lot. You can cut less if you'd like, but I like to have extra to work with, so I'm going to cut that. For this particular design, I like to start from the end, string it on, and then clasp it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my wire guardian on this side. Now, if you're not sure how long you want your bracelet, you're not sure if mine is going to work, you can start from the center and go out and then measure it before you do this, and then put your clasping on. But I basically know what I need. It's easier to string if I start from one end and then just work my way over. So I've got my little piece of wire here. I need another crimp tube. I'm going to put the crimp onto the wire, and then I'm just going to slide on my wire guardian. Move it down so I have plenty of wire to work with, and I can always pull the excess back up, so don't worry about that. Go through the crimping tube, and now I'm going to just hold on right on that crimping tube, and I'm going to pull the longer length down so that I have very little on this side that I'm wasting. Although I probably have plenty that I could waste a little bit more, but I don't want to. So I am going to pull that just a little bit though. There we go. And get my wire guardian positioned nicely. And then I am just going to crimp that. So just imagine where the center of those two wires are. Let's see, do I have it crossed? And place it in the second divot, the one closest to the handle, and squeeze. And then go sideways in the first divot and squeeze again. Now I have a real nice little crimp. I'm going to take my flush cutters. Let's get you a little closer. And I'm going to cut off this end as close. You could slide some beads down on it if you want, but I'm just going to cut it off real close here. As close as I can get it to the crimp bead. Crimp tube, whatever. There we go. And then I'm just going to kind of squish this together so it looks nicer. There we go. And there's my beginning. I'm going to start with stringing this with an 8/0 seed bead, and then I'm going to use 5 of my column beads and just pop them on there. And then I'm going to grab an 8/0 seed bead. So in this one, we're going to use 8/0s. And then we're going to drop down 3 of our flower beads. Okay, go on there. These metal beads, sometimes they have ledges inside and they're hard to string. Then we're going to put another 8/0 and a flower. 8/0 and a flower. Then an 8/0 and a column bead. An 8/0 and then our focal bead. Now you're going to find that this is, for some reason, going through this has a great big hole, but some reason it's just a pain in the bottom to get through. So just take your time and fish it through. It does go through. It's open. It shouldn't be an issue. And maybe because it's hollow or because it's large, or I don't know. But it definitely likes to be kind of stubborn. Okay, so that's 1/2 of my bracelet. Now, and if you have a larger wrist or a smaller wrist, you can reduce the amount of, or increase the amount of your column beads. Now we're just going to do the other side exactly the same way. So just copy the pattern and make sure you put an 8/0 on first. Copy the pattern backwards you know, from what you did it this way. So now we're going to do the opposite this way, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I have finished my pattern on the second side, and you can see I have quite a bit of wire left. So you could cut like 10 inches if you'd like instead of 12. But again, I just like to make sure I have plenty. So now that I have it all strung, I'm going to I've dropped on my 8/0 at the very end here, and then my crimp tube. And now I'm going to put my wire guardian on. Draw it down. Turn it this way so I can go through it again. Go through the crimp tube, and I'm going to go through the 8/0 seed bead too. Now I'm going to find the side that is stable, which is this side. I'm going to push it all down as close as I can get it. Hold on to that stable side and pull this all down. Once I get it to where I can't hold on to that wire anymore, I'm going to hold on to the beads and pull this down. Then I'm going to push on the crimp tube and pull down. Sorry, it sounds like my stepfather is having a cough attack upstairs. I apologize. But I should probably go check on him, huh? Pull this down. And let's continue here. Alright, so I'm getting that pretty close. I want to do it one more time just to make sure it's nice and tight. And then it's stable enough. I can go ahead and cut this very close. And then just very gently push down that crimp tube, just ever so slightly to draw it up into draw the end up into the 8/0 here. And then let's see a little more. Okay, you don't want to get too carried away because now it's too short to restring it. So just be very gentle with that. And then we're going to go ahead and crimp it. Same way we've been doing it. Make sure I got a nice crimp. And now, got soft flex, so just kind of make it go circly. And then how did I do this side? I did a couple, I think I did a 5mm jump ring, and then, yeah, a couple of these. Okay, yeah, that looks right. I don't know. And I'm just going to open this up and put on my clasp onto the wire guardian. So I've got my jump ring, and I am going to open it up. And then I'm going to drop on my clasp, put it on the wire guardian, close it, and do the same thing on the other side with the other half of the clasp. And I will measure this so you can see exactly how big it is, and that will kind of give you a guide. And how many beads you want to use. And I'll show you what it looks like. Very cute. Very cute. Just a real simple, really cute little thing. I'll put it on and let you see what it looks like. But first, I have got to measure this before I forget, because I always tell you guys I'm going to measure, and then I forget, and you know. No one ever complains, but I notice it in my videos. It's like, geez, Gina. Brain lapse. Okay. So, if I put it on halfway through the toggle here, this is about a 7 1/4 inch bracelet, which is perfect for me. It gives me enough movement, and it just works well for me. And this, of course, is going to take up a little room on your wrist. So you may find that you're 1/4 of an inch bigger than, you originally planned, just to get it to fit. So there we have it. Look at how cute that is. It's so cute. And then that is the denim days. This is the denim nights. Let's see if I can get that on. The only difference is the color of the cubes, or not the cubes, but the column beads. And they're just so cute. That would look really cute with several of them on, different colors back here. Or you don't have to have the flowers too. You could do some gemstones here, decorate it however you want, modify it. So let me take these off and show you the sets. And then I want to show you how to make one more necklace with these beads. I know that you don't have any more, and I've already used more than you have. I get that, but because I have so many extra, and because I like them and I'm just inspired by them, I'm going to make another one with some Sodalite gemstones I also have on the website. And you can use anything you want, any bigger bead, focal, anything you want to make the particular style I'm going to do with. So you don't have to have stuff. You don't have to come buy more. I'm not trying to push products. People get mad at me about that. That's not what I'm trying to do. All I'm trying to do is give you an option and show you what I'm using and have it available if you want it. That's all. So let's do this. And I will back off so you can see the cute little things. I'll get this down a little bit here. They're very simple. You can't get much more simple. But I put the necklace on, this one on, and it was so cute. And it would look just adorable with a denim jacket and a pair of jeans. This is, of course, the darker denim would work with the light or the dark. This has both tones in it, would work just fine. And I mean, how cute is that? If you have this summer, a little pair of denim shorts, that would be really cute. A little denim top, whatever. Just really, really cute. Okay, I'm going to gather the things I need to make my next one. I also made a set of earrings, so I have the extra beads. All I did was drop them on a head pin. And I'm going to be doing some head pinning in a minute with my next design. So you just drop it on a head pin, wire wrap it, and then drop on an ear wire. And those, I only made one set, but it would go with either set. So that's what that looks like. Turns out just to be a really adorable set. Now I'm going to go ahead and gather my things together, show you one more necklace, and then we'll call this finished. Oh, that's so cute. I just love it. Okay, so now I wanted to make another pretty simple strung project with some of these 10x6 Abacus shape Sodalite gemstone beads. These are really pretty. I have a few strands in and I just thought they're so pretty. I wanted to work with them with these beads because they match so nicely. So I'm just going to do another fairly easy strung one. I do have some of these on the website if you'd like to get some. I do not generally stock a ton of each strand of gemstones, but I do have several, so you can come in and get one if you'd like. I have some of these little bead caps. I bought a big package on Amazon of these. There's a lot of them in the package. You can see I have a bunch out there. So I will try to find the link for this and put that in there too if you want some of these, but you can use any bead caps that you would like that will fit with these beads nicely. These are rather flat. I mean, they're shallow dome and they fit just perfectly. So they must be about 10 millimeters across because these beads are 10 millimeters across. So I've got a bunch of those out. I've got 3 of these beads out. And again, I know you don't have that many in your treasure bag, but I do have them in packages of 3 on the website. And you can get some more if you'd like. I have one of the clasps from the treasure bag I have some 8/0 seed beads out, and these are Toho 8/0 nickel. And then I have a couple of jump rings that are about 5mm in outside diameter, 2 wire guardians, and 2 crimp tubes, size 2. And I'm going to start with that and see where this goes. I have not done anything yet. I just think that these are, I haven't made a design yet. I just think that these are so pretty with these beads that I'm going to try something. So I think I'm going to begin. I've cut some soft flex medium, and I've cut about 22 inches, and I'm going to then just slide one of these beads on. Again, these beads are kind of hard to thread on to beading wire, just because, I think because they're hollow inside and they're wide, it takes a minute to kind of navigate through it. So just try it a couple of times, turning it back and forth until you get it through. There's nothing blocking it. It's just that I think because they're hollow, the wire just goes all over the place. Okay, had to have a drink of coffee. Now, after I've got that on there, I think I'm going to go ahead and put 8/0 seed bead on either side of it. And then I'm going to pick up a bead cap and put a bead cap on both sides of the bead here. Let's see how this turns out. Do I want that? I think so. And then I'm going to put on, do I want that? Maybe I don't want 8/0s. I think I'm just going to drop the bead caps down without, and of course now I have to thread this stupid bead through again. Pooh, I don't like it. Come on, go through. There we go. I think I'm just going to drop a bead cap down without an 8/0 there on both sides. I think I will like that better. And then I'm going to pick up one of my gemstones and drop it down on both sides. And then another bead cap. Come here. Come here, come here, come here. And then I'm going to do another bead cap on both sides and a gemstone. So I'm going to drop down that. And then, and I hope I'm in camera here and you can see what I'm doing because I get involved and I forget. There we go. Drop this one down over here. These beads are so pretty. I really like them. And now I'm going to center it again. Just kind of keep the wire the same length on both sides. And then I'm going to put a bead cap. And then I think I'll put another one of these big beads. Good luck, huh? Maybe it's because the wire is curved. Because you can stick a head pin in there really easy, but I mean, just make sure your beading wire is really straight when you put it in there, because that worked better. And maybe not. There we go. Okay. So this is what I have so far. I think that's really pretty. I'm okay with that so far. So now I am going to drop another bead cap on both sides. And now I'm going to do some multiple gemstones. So I think I'm going to go with 3 gemstones. And then a bead cap. And then an 8/0. Do the same thing on the other side. And then I think I'm just going to continue doing that all the way up the length with this little combination here. So, very simple, but I think because we have so much decoration with the bead caps and with the color of the gemstones and these big fancy beads, that doing anything more is just more. Sometimes less is better. Sometimes less is more. So I think just a simple strung pattern like this is going to look really nice. And I don't want this to be a long necklace. I want it to be collar length so that it holds its shape nice. It's nice round shape. Because of the size of the beads and stuff, I think that will be really pretty. So this is what I'm doing now. I'm just going to continue dropping 3 beads down with a bead cap on both sides and an 8/0 seed bead between the units. So like this. And I'm going to continue doing that on both sides until I have the length I want. And I'll come back and show you exactly how many units that is. Okay, so now you can see I have finished both sides and I've done 6 of these groupings on both sides. This is a little over 16 inches, so by the time I finish putting my clasping on, and I could possibly, I have a fairly decent sized toggle. I could just use a lobster claw and put an extender on it if I wanted to, but I think I'm going to end up with the 17 close to 18-inch necklace by the time I'm finished. So I have put a bead stopper on this side, and I am going to go ahead and finish this side. So I have dropped on the very end my bead cap, then an 8/0 seed bead, and then my size 2 crimp tube. And then I'm going to grab a wire guardian. And why do my wire guardians always disappear? So crazy. Okay, so I'm going to get a couple more out. And I'm going to put it through just like we did before on the other necklace. And then go through the other side. I'm going to move this up a little bit so that I can mess with it. Again, I've left myself plenty of beading wire to do this so that I'm not struggling. And then I'm just going to go back through the 8/0 seed bead, the crimp tube, and you can see them through the wire guardian too, just like this. And now again, I'm going to hold on to the side that's stable, and I'm going to keep moving it down towards the beads as I pull on it. When I can't pull anymore, then I am going to hold on to the beads, or when I can't hold on to it anymore, I'm going to hold on to the beads and pull this longer length of beading wire. And then I'm going to go ahead and crimp this. I can cut it off later because the other side needs to be done, so I could go ahead and cut it now, but I'm gonna wait. So I just want to show you both methods in this. So now I'm going to crimp this nice and crimped. Then now I can cut this very short underneath that 8/0 seed bead, and because I still have the other side to do, I can get a little wiggle room to bring that into these beads here if there's a little tiny bit of an end, and that way nothing's pokey or sticking out. Now I can do this side. I've already dropped my 8/0 and my crimp tube on. I'm going to grab my wire guardian. I just dumped out a whole bunch, and again, they're gone. How is this happening? It's like they're just slipping through the... There it is, under there. Jeez Louise. It's like, you know, I lose things in the ozone layer or something. I don't know. All right. So, the universe is glitching. Really, it's just my brain glitching, but, you know. Okay, so I'm bringing this down. I'm going to scoot this up. just a little bit. Go through the crimp tube and the 8 seed bead if I can. There we go. And now on this side, it's much more important to get everything very tight. So I am going to find the side that's stable, which happens to be that side for some reason. Must have them crossed, I don't know. But I'm going to hold on to that side, and I'm going to just pull the long length until I can't hold on to it anymore, and then I'm going to pull the long length and bring it in tight, and then I'm going to push down on just the crimp tube and the 8 seed bead, and then hold on to my beads and pull again, and I'll do that until I get everything tight. And my beads want to move, so I'm having a hard time with that. There we go. I'll hold on to the wire guardian. Maybe that will work better because my wire will slide through it whether I'm holding onto it or not. There we go. So I've got this, and now get it as tight as I can. I'm going to adjust this little wire guardian there. And now I can cut this very short, like I showed you before. Then I can just push my crimp tube down just ever so slightly, just enough to pull in whatever excess is sticking out from where I cut it, and then find where my beads meet, or where the wire, geez, Gina, just say anything, you know. I'm trying to imagine where the middle is of that tube. I want to make sure that the wires will be on either side, and then I'm going to place my crimp tool on it in that spot, and then I can crimp. And now you can see my tubes are on either side. They're lying parallel to each other. They're not crossed. And then, because if you just do it from the side or something, you're not going to get the same result. So that's why you want to imagine where the two wires are and then go in right in the middle, because you got a little pokey that will go in the middle on this. And then turn it sideways and squeeze. And now I have my ends prepared for my clasping. So I can grab a jump ring or two, and then as soon as we put this on, I will measure it, and then I'll show you. I kind of strung up a bracelet to match too, using exactly the same techniques. So I will show you what I've got so far. And come here. Okay, there we go. Things are escaping the desk. So I've just opened a jump ring. I'm going to put on my clasping like this and close that jump ring. And then I will do the same thing. And I'm using about a 5mm jump ring. A 4 or a 6 is fine also. Whatever you have. On the ends here, it's not that critical. So just whatever makes you happy, and then close that. And we'll look at it, and then we'll measure it. I think that's really, I mean, that could be dressed up so pretty. It's just a little collar length necklace, and because it's gemstones, they showcase themselves. You don't have to get tremendously fancy with a gemstone. I've got a couple focals here, and then my pretty gemstones, and that's all you really need to make a really nice piece. Then let's measure it so you'll know basically the length. This is an 18-inch necklace exactly. Okay, sorry about that. Telephone interruptus. So what I have done for the bracelet is exactly the same type of pattern. So I started with my main bead in the middle, and then I did individuals here, and then I did 2 units on either side of my 3 beads. Pretty much exactly the same way as I did this, so you can see. Instead of putting 2 more big beads, I just went into my 3 units. And I started this bracelet exactly the same way that I started these. So I put on my crimp bead and my wire guardian, and then I just started beading from one side over. So I've got this side finished. The only thing different is I went ahead and put a crimp bead cover on this one. So now I'm going to put on my wire guardian and finish this up, and we will see what size it is exactly and all that good stuff. So I'm going to drop my wire guardian down, lift this up, and go into the other side of the wire guardian and into my crimp tube. And I think I will go ahead and see if I can go down into these beads here. Maybe, and maybe not. Let's see. Yeah, no. So I'm just going to go into the crimp tube. I'll hold on to the side that doesn't move, pull this all down, and then hold on to my beads and push the crimp tube down again, just like I've been showing you all along. Just get it nice and tight against everything. We've got breaks here with our seed beads, so we don't have to worry about leaving slack for movement, because usually when you use this shape of bead, if you don't leave a little slack in the line, it won't curve. But because we have the breaks between, we're fine. So we can pull that very tight and secure. And then I'm going to go ahead and crimp it and then cut off the extra wire here. So I'm just going to imagine where the center is of those 2 wires. Get that nice and neat. And crimp, and then again do it sideways, and I've got that crimped nice. Then I'm just going to get my flush cutter, pull on my wire real tight, push that flush cutter against the crimp tube, and cut that down. Okay, now I'm going to put on a little crimp tube cover. That one's weird. Those are stuck together. Let's see. There's one. So I've just got a little clamshell cover here, and I'm going to slide it on. I always think I'm just going to slide them on. They don't just slide on. They're always difficult. So let me get that on there. Okay, come on you. There we go. All right. And then I have a mighty crimper that I like to close these with. So let's see if I can get this closed nicely. Okay, now I can put on my clasp. So let me, you can drop your clasp directly on too, but because I didn't do that, if my toggle is too big and I get too much length, I'll go ahead and put on a jump ring and a small lobster claw. But I think I'm going to be okay. So let me grab a clasp, because of course I don't have one out, so let me grab one. And I'll get a couple small jump rings out. I might need a little bigger jump ring than that. Yeah, let's go with this size. So this is the 5mm. I think this is, it's 4 to 5mm. And I am going to just put on my clasping, and then we'll look at the set and we'll be done with this. And I just thought it would be fun to see what other options there are with some of these beads. And I hope you guys don't mind, but you know, sometimes I get inspired and I just have to make something other than what's in the bag. So okay, now there's my bracelet. Let me see how it fits. Oh yeah, it's good. It's good, it's good, I think. Not that I can get it on worth a darn. Give me just a second and I will get it on and show you what it looks like. Come here. Toggle. Okay, he's being very stubborn. Come here, you. There it is. It's a little big, and that I could change with my clasping. So I could go ahead and put on a lobster claw, or I could have dropped my clasp on my wire guardians before I crimped. So, but it's really not too terrible. And you have to make a little bit longer length when you have a bead this size. You have a big focal bead, and all these beads are pretty big because it takes up room on your wrist. I can also use a little bit smaller jump ring to make it a little bit smaller for me. But at this point, it is, yeah, it's 8 inches long. That's why it's too big for me. But if you have, if that's your size, then that's perfect. So let's look at the set and see what all we've made here. So I've got this, and then I will put these earrings that I made for the previous set here, and I made some different ones for the previous set, so, because I think this one goes really well together. And then for this set, I went ahead and made just a simple drop earring on an eye pin, and then attached a head pin to a flower, and I made a drop on the flower. And I think that goes better with this little set here. So let me move this over and get all this stuff out of the way, and we'll look at these. Tangle, tangle, tangle. Oh, jeez. Okay. And here's the one that everyone has everything for to make. And then here's the extra bracelet. And then here's the earrings. And that is the Denim Days. Wow, geez Louise. And then here, so we've got that one. We already saw that one. Get out of here. And then this one. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it gives you a little bit of inspiration. And again, you don't have to use the beads in the bag. You don't have to use the beads that I used for the other set. You can use whatever you'd like. They're just basic technique videos and very easily accomplished. So there you have it. Have a good day. Bye-bye.